Detroit debates, night 2. Who were the big winners? Well, let me go over my notes here with you, and we'll find them. Okay, I would say a tie for third place for Cory Booker and Julian Castro. These two guys, right off the bat, I just don't like that they're just pure politicians. Like, it doesn't suit me. It's just like they're very polished, they're very clean cut, they're very well spoken, and well rehearsed in that political rhetoric, that political tone where it sounds artificial, where they don't come off as genuine people or genuine enough. I think there are genuine elements of these people, but there's just a veneer of phoniness in that the way they present themselves as just pure politician types. That being said, they had a pretty decent night. Like, I don't think I'd vote for these guys, but going on their debate performance, they did pretty good. Like, Booker was really good at conveying, concern. Okay? A lot of cliches, a lot of platitudes, a lot of vague language. But here's the thing, it resonates with a lot of people. That's all I'm giving it credit for. I'm not giving him credit because it's the right thing to do or the right thing to say. I'm giving him credit because certain people gravitate to that. I am not one of those people, but objectively, he had a decent night. He had a good showing. He went after Joe Biden. He told Joe Biden, you can't have it both ways on immigration. I thought that was really great. And Biden was just a punching bag. Like, everybody got their shots in on Biden, which was great. Like I said, he did a great job at attacking Joe Biden on his crime bill records. Booker and Biden had a good back and forth about Joe's record. How basically Booker was talking about how he had to work with the ramifications, with the end results of Joe Biden's horrible crime bills from the 1990s and probably from the 80s too. So that was actually a good dialogue. That was a good back and forth for Booker to boost his brand in that moment. That's where he really shined in that moment. But he had a lot of other great moments, and he's tied for third, like I said. And Julian Castro, he's strong on border immigration rhetoric. He really knows his stuff. He comes from a border state. He comes from the state of Texas, so he really knows the situation when it comes to immigration. So in the first debates, he did great on that because that dominated the first debates. This is why I believe he was one of the winners in the first debate, because there was a lot of focus on immigration, border security, and those types of means. And obviously, he's going to nail it because he's from a border state. And like Booker, Castro owned Biden on immigration. Castro agreed Biden's crime bills are still an ongoing issue. It's just Biden was the punching bag, and rightfully so. Biden should be called out on his crime bills, and he was. It was beautiful, and it really boosted Castro and Booker and their presence up there. They just had good back and forth with Biden about his horrible crime bills. So these guys definitely tied for third place. Okay, let me go to my second place. Build up to number 1. My man, Andrew Yang, is my second place. His opening statement was all about UBI, his flagship proposal. Boom, right off the bat, we're in it. He also talked about immigrants are getting scapegoated for the things automation is doing. I love that. He finally got to say on national TV, it's not immigrants, but automation. And immigrants are nothing more than scapegoats. I'm glad this was said. I've been saying this for months. It's just going to be great to hear. It's just, like I said, Andrew Yang just has to speak. That's it. Because Andrew Yang is so focused on what he has to say. He knows what he has to say. He knows his rhetoric. He knows what he believes in. He knows his policies. And he simply just has to be heard. Okay, mic on. So he had a great opener. He talked about the racial divide when the racial divide came up, how UBI would definitely be a huge step forward. A starting step. He didn't say be all to end all. A starting step for racial division. And he talked about how Martin Luther King was for a universal basic income. Okay, and that works for Andrew Yang in that moment. But obviously, we got to talk about reparations and all that other stuff. But this is a good stepping stone, and Andrew Yang knows how to wield his UBI in a lot of different topics, in a lot of different ways. Okay. He actually said we're 10 years too late on climate change, and I don't think he elaborated too much, or I might have missed it. But he said it's 10 years too late on climate change. I might have to go back over that and see if he said anything else. If he said something else that I missed, leave it down below, leave a comment, let's talk about it. Let's see. He dodged going after Biden, and he preferred to talk about his human-centered economy instead, which was just a beautiful move. Like I was saying in a video the other day, Andrew Yang doesn't have to go after anybody. Leave that up for the other people. The only value Andrew Yang has right now is to just be known and have his policy sets be spoken in front of a camera. It's that easy. So I love how he deferred going after Joe Biden when CNN set him up in a question, and he just deferred to talk about his human-centered economy, and that is awesome. I'm glad he got to say that and talk about that. Great move. He got in his talking points that we have heard 100 times, that I have covered on this show 100 times, on my channel 100 times, and that's the value here. Like I keep saying, he just needs to talk. He just has to say the things that me and you know, the things that me and you have heard dozens and dozens of times on a national stage in front of a national audience, and he got to do that. So I'm taking all that in. Pay equity came up, perfect spot for UBI to come in. He talked about the struggling waitress analogy and women in abusive relationships, and how $1,000 a month would be uplifting, would be upward mobility for struggling women. You know, UBI works in a lot of contexts. I know it could make him seem like a one-trick pony, but it really works in a lot of contexts, and Andrew Yang knows how to wield UBI in these multiple context scenarios. Iran came up, and he said he would de-escalate tensions. That's good. Re-enter the Iran agreement, basic common sense. And he also talked about how he signed, and that he signed a forever wars pledge to end forever wars. So he really got good talking points on our Iran, de-escalating tensions, re-enter the Iran nuclear agreement, and talked about the pledge he signed for ending forever wars. Not too shabby. Do I have anything else on Andrew Yang? I think that's about it for Andrew Yang. So he got second place. I have an Andrew Yang bias, and my number one, might not shock you, is Tulsi Gabbard. And I have a Gabbard Yang bias, so I really had to think about this a little bit more. But I'm comfortable in saying Andrew Yang took second place for the night. And like I said, Tulsi Gabbard was my number one. Her opening line, "We have a sick care system, not a health care system." I just thought that was a great line. She called, the moment of the night was her calling out Kamala Harris and her horrible, atrocious prosecutor record, or record as Attorney General. She totally had the soundbite of the night. She had a couple sound bites, but when she went after Kamala Harris, she started trending on Twitter. I woke up today, she's still trending. That interaction between Tulsi Gabbard going after Kamala Harris was the flashpoint of the night. It was the night encapsulated. And I love that because I want Kamala Harris to go down in the polls. I want Tulsi Gabbard to go up in the polls. So that worked great. And Tulsi was relentless. I just thought it would be like one or two things. It was like a pummeling. Like, rest in peace, Kamala Harris. That was a pummeling. Oh my God, it was great. And all Tulsi was doing was basically reeling off Kamala's record. How she had all these like marijuana arrests, like 1,500 of them. Just all these horrible things about like prison labor. She was for prison labor, and she didn't do anything to change it. And she was just, like I said, Tulsi was just reading the record. That's it. It wasn't an opinion. It wasn't a slight. It wasn't a smear. Tulsi Gabbard read Harris's record aloud. That was it. So rest in peace. Tulsi had a lot of good talk about pro-Green New Deal-like rhetoric. I know she wasn't for the original, but she's really good on green energy, and she talked about that in her state of Hawaii, how she piloted initiatives for green energy. And she is for a Green New Deal, but she wasn't for the one AOC proposed. We all know that. But she also called out TPP, talked about the job loss that it entailed, and she scored points there. But yeah, I can even say Yang Gabbard tied for number one, but I'm going to go for Tulsi. But Yang for second. They both had great nights, and I've been waiting for these two to have a great night, a great debate night, just a great presentation to America by and large, because I want America to know who Tulsi Gabbard is. I want America to know who Andrew Yang is, and I can't wait to see where their poll numbers go, because Tulsi's down in the dirt with her poll numbers. She's kind of like 0, 1%. I don't know if I've seen her at 2% yet. So she needs that. She needs donations too. I'm going to leave a link down for Tulsi Gabbard. If you haven't donated, donate a dollar. It can be as little as $1 to Tulsi Gabbard. Let's get her to the fall debates. Andrew Yang's already set for the fall debates. He needs to make one more poll though. But anyways, nothing too much else to talk about, or that I want to talk about. I just really wanted to focus on my top three. So who are your top three winners? Let me know down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, click the bell, donate if you have any. If you have a gift for the channel. Half my videos are demonetized, so I hate to ask, but whatever you can spare is okay with me. So I will talk to you down in the comments.